Field comes off turn number 4. They'll come down to the line, see the green flag with 10 laps to go. It will be a single file restart. Now remember these restrictor plate engines, it'll take a little while to wind it up, but as they get ready to go back to green, Dave Moody, I don't think it's going to take very long before somebody will try to scramble up there. You talk about frantic racing that we've seen this afternoon. I'm old. I don't know if I can stand these last 10 laps or not.
I think you can, but we're going to find out one way or another, Barney. And just because they're not up to full speed by the time they get to turn 1 doesn't mean they can't pass each other. We've seen them trying to do that just as the cars were coming up to full song. Green flag comes out.
They're working back up into turn number 1. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads the way.
Jr. with a rear view mirror full of Jimmy Johnson. Then it's the Brian Vickers machine, Casey Kane, Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth. Everybody single file as they slowly creep up to full speed.
And everybody content to ride in single file formation among the front 10 or 15 cars. No one yet to put a challenge on Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the lead. Here's Casey Kane, though. He's in 4th. He looks down to the bottom and quickly gets back in line. First man out of line is Kurt Busch to the outside of Jeff Burton, and Jeff Burton is off the pace. The points leader is in trouble. He is off the pace and down to the inside of turn number 3.
Half a dozen, maybe dozen cars have stormed by Jeff Burton. He is slow off turn number 4. He is dropping the left side tires underneath the yellow line, and your point leader, Jeff Burton, is headed to pit road.
Here comes the field back into the tri-oval. Let's check with Danielle Fry. What's wrong with Jeff Burton?
It's a left rear flat tire. So not what Jeff Burton wanted to see this late in the game. He pulls the Singular Wilder Chevrolet down on the pit road. They're going to go ahead and change those left side tires. Bad break for Jeff Burton.
Yeah, really bad break for Jeff Burton. We're down to 8-9 laps to go now. Field is just leaving turn number 2 and heading down the backstretch, chasing Dale Jr.
Budweiser Chevrolet leads the way. Jimmy Johnson in 2nd. Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Kurt Busch. Everybody in tight formation, shoving each other off the end of the back straightaway.
They climb the banking all the way up against the safer Bears. Nobody breaking out of line. Dale Jr. up front. Then it's Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane off 4.
Junior's actually got a little bit of breathing room this time, maybe about the most he's had all afternoon. A 2-car length gap back to 2nd place, Jimmy Johnson. But with drafting help, that'll go away quickly, and there it goes. Brian Vickers pulls up behind Jimmy Johnson. They close right up on the rear deck of Earnhardt Chevy.
2 car lengths at Talladega is about 1.5 seconds. That's how long it takes the pursuing pack to gather you up. They're single file back through about the top 10. Dale Jr., followed by Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers.
In pack, they're starting to shuffle it up now as Mike Wallace drops down to the inside of Robbie Gordon. They race side by side, but the inside line, no drafting help. Again, racing mid-pack as Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings the pack back to 3.
Waiting to see whether somebody amongst that top 10 will pull to the inside and put a challenge on the race leader, Junior. But nobody does. They're single file once again. Dale Jr. at the front of the field.
We'll be down to 7 laps to go when they hit the start-finish line. You would think Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers, being teammates, that they would work together and Jimmy would take a chance in dropping down there, hoping that Brian will go with him. But thus far, it is single file, Dave Moody. Somebody's going to have to make a move, or they're going to finish exactly like they're running right now.
Well, a good poker player, Barney, sometimes holds their cards until the bitter end, but that's what Jimmy Johnson's doing right now. A bit further back, though, they're getting busy. Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Robbie Gordon are all beginning to make some moves.
Matt Kenseth now darts back to the outside lane. Kevin Harvick does as well, leaves Robbie Gordon in the dust. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, everyone single file in the front 15 cars.
And it's Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, back to Jeff Green and Mark Martin. All of those cars continue to ride in formation, nose to tail.
And they're all scared to death to step out of line because if nobody goes with them, they are done for the day. So that's the way they come back to the stripe as we're down to 6 laps to go. Eventually someone's going to have to move out there and hope they get some help.
Not a question of if somebody's going to take a run at Dale Jr. It's just a question of when and how they're going to do it. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, single file.
The lead pack rim riding off turn number 2 in the extreme outside line up against the outside retaining wall. No one stepping out of line except Robbie Gordon. That's the battle for about the 15th position. No drafting help for him. He's going to the back of that pack.
The old Talladega, everybody would have left side tires pinned on the yellow line. Forget about that. This is the new Talladega. Everybody rim riding off turn 4.
They will be 5 laps remaining to be run. Dale Jr. looking pretty good right now. He's probably looking in that rearview mirror as much as he is looking at the asphalt directly ahead to see if and when somebody's going to make that move on him. They get a little bit tighter going back to turn number 1. It's Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, and Kurt Busch.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the rabbit, being pursued by a pack of wild dogs right now. Everybody right on his back bumper, waiting for the time to make the move.
For now, no one makes a move. Everyone stays in single file formation. Everybody here waiting, watching, wondering when the move is going to come. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. by a car length over Jimmy Johnson. Now Johnson gets right up on the back bumper of the Budweiser Chevrolet.
He got a boost from Brian Vicker, who rides third, about a half a car length back to Casey Kane. He rides in the 4 spot. Then it's Kurt Busch and Matt Kenseth.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings him off turn 4. We're running out of time. Down to 4 laps to go. Somebody's got to make a move here. Who's it going to be? Jimmy Johnson in second. Brian Vickers pushing him. He's third. 4th is Casey Kane. 5th is Kurt Busch. That's the way they climb the banking of turn 1.
Who's going to blink first as they hug that outside wall, taking the highest possible way around Talladega? It's Junior, Johnson, Vickers, no change at the front.
No one stepping out of line. No one wanting to show their hand yet. The laps are winding down, and right now it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading the pack. Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr. They are the front runners.
That's their top 7. Then Kevin Harvick is 8. Jeff Green is 9th. Mark Martin is 10th. Now all of the cars, some 30 of them, all nose to tail.
Dale Jr. probably not feeling real good right now, but also nobody's put a move on him yet. They've come down to 3 laps to go. They come back down the line, still single file all the way back through about the top 20 cars. They can't stay that way much longer. There's only 3 laps remaining to be run. They go to turn 2.
Jimmy Johnson drops back a little bit off the back bumper of the Budweiser Chevrolet. Is he looking to get a run? Here they come. Out of turn number 2. It's Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2 car lengths back to Johnson and Vickers.
It's a 29-car NASCAR Nextel Cup Series freight train, and the track is up against the outside wall. Everyone in single file formation. No one steps out of line. Jimmy Johnson on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. not stepping out of line this time.
Well, Jimmy Johnson started to peek to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr., then decided to follow a little bit further back. 2 cars finally do. Kyle Busch comes out of line. He's got drafting help from only Ryan Newman.
It is showtime at Talladega Superspeedway. We're down to 2 laps to go. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to add to his list, or try to add to his list of wins here at Talladega. He's in control, but what's Jimmy Johnson going to try to pull? Let's follow him back to turn 1.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. squarely in the crosshairs. Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, and Kurt Busch. Nobody blinking. Nobody making a move. They're still single file.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. down the back straightaway. Jimmy Johnson, no one out of line. The only man downstairs is Kyle Busch, and that's for about the 17th position. Jimmy Johnson content to ride behind Jr. No one down to the inside. Everybody's topside.
Who's going to throw the first punch here at Talladega? Up against the outside retaining wall. Coming to the white flag. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads Jimmy Johnson and a half a dozen others off turn 4.
Dale Jr. about a lap and a quarter away from going to victory lane if he can stay where he is right now. They move back into the tri-oval. White flag goes in the air for the field as they head back into turn number 1. It is still Dale Jr. by half a car length. Can he come back that way? They go to 2.
If anybody's got a plan, we've got to see it now. Junior drops down a lane, trying to fend off Jimmy Johnson. Johnson looks to the inside. He's got drafting help from Vickers, but Earnhardt is strong. He pulls away by 2.
The front 4 break up just a tad. Dale Earnhardt Jr. all by himself out front. Here's Jimmy Johnson. Final time down the back straightaway. Johnson dives to the bottom. They make contact. Johnson around. Earnhardt around. Sliding and slamming down on the inside lane. Brian Vickers leads the pack to 3.
Here they come off of turn number 3. Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, wheel to wheel as they work off turn number 4 for the final time.
Casey Kane comes by. He picks up the lead and brings the pack back into the tri-oval. They'll come down to the line and see the caution flag waving, the caution flag and the checkered flag. And Casey Kane is going to win today here at Talladega. Let's go back to turn 3.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to fend off the advances of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson went down to the inside. Jr. Jr. went down to block. They made contact. Around went Jr. Around went Jimmy. They slid down to the inside of the racetrack in the grass. A huge cloud of dust now engulfing turn number 3. Casey Kane charging by on the outside lane. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson's Chevrolets sit down to the inside, beaten and battered as they crash coming to the checkered flag at Talladega.
And now NASCAR is saying Brian Vickers was leading when the caution flag came out in turn 3 over there, and they freeze the field these days the way they do the scoring, and so Brian Vickers instead is going to be the race leader. A big shakeup here on the last lap in the running of the UAW-Ford 500. What an exciting turn of events today. Junior was leading. The crash occurred on the back straightaway, and Brian Vickers is going to score his first career NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win. It appears that Brian Vickers is the winner. NASCAR was reviewing the finish, but now they have said officially Brian Vickers has scored the victory today in the UAW-Ford 500.
It's time right now to select the MRN Radio Castrol Slick Move of the Race, brought to you by Castrol GTX. To keep your car's power and acceleration, use Castrol GTX, a leading motor oil formulated to give your engine maximum protection from sludge buildup. Castrol GTX, it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering. Dave Moody?
Well, I guess I got to give the call to the winner here, Barney. Brian Vickers. Anytime you drive to victory lane on the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series for the first time, you've had a heck of a day. He had that GMAC Chevrolet in the lead draft all afternoon. He was there when it all broke out and in the right place and the right time on the final lap.
Mike Bagley?
I'm not going to go with Brian Vickers, Barney. I'm going with Casey Kane. Earlier, there was a wreck in turn number 1. He drove to the high side to avoid it. He stayed in contention all day, almost had the victory, but he did some heads-up piece of driving to avoid the wreck in turn 1 earlier in the race and the one on the last lap at the end of the back straightaway.
Jeff Striegel.
I'm going to go a completely different direction. You look down there, and right now, unofficially in the 9th place, Jeff Green. What a great job he did, keeping himself up in contention, and it could be a very strong finish for Jeff Green, unofficially right now in the 9th position.
Joe?
I'm going to go with Dave Moody. I think Brian Vickers did a great job. He didn't just sneak up there. He was strong all day and led 16 laps of this race and scored his first win for Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, I'll cast a vote in that direction also. So it will be Brian Vickers winning here this afternoon. Our congratulations to him, a winner of the MRN Radio Castrol Slick Move of the Race, Castrol GTX. It's not just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Let's go down to Adam Alexander.
And let's visit with a guy who's a runner-up finisher today. Looked like a couple of more inches than you may have had him there. Talk about that final lap and what happened, Casey.
Well, yeah, I mean, without the contact, I was going to probably run 3rd or 4th. But, I had a lot of help from Kurt Busch all day long, and especially that last half there was real nice to get some pushes from the 2. And if the caution came out 2 seconds later, we would have won. So, I mean, it was pretty neat. I would have taken a win like that for sure. But just happy for my guys, the Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge Charger. They did a real good job, and it's exciting. We finally finished the restrictor plate race. First good finish of the chase, too, so that's nice.
Yeah, he talks about the chase. Not a lot of luck for Casey Kane so far in the chase for the Nextel Cup, but a very solid run here this afternoon as he brings his Dodge home in the runner-up position. And now let's go to Danielle Fry.
Back here in the Nextel Cup garage with Dale Earnhart Jr. Dale, there was a whole sea of red cheering you on to the finish line. What happened that last lap?
I saw the replay just now, and Vickers got into the 48 and turned him into me. It's just unfortunate. I threw a little bit of a block, but they were coming so fast, it wasn't much I could do to stop them. And once I saw that they were coming, I just, it was another little 2.5 lanes down there for him. And Brian just turned him in the corner. I mean, hooked him on his corner panel. Frustrating. I know Brian probably feels pretty bad, actually, because I know what kind of guy he is. And I don't think he would do that on purpose. I don't know if that's smart anyways. But we had a great car. I want to thank Budweiser. My team was great. My guys are behind me. Tries to win a couple races before this thing's over with.
Tough hitting the points, do you think?
Absolutely, but like I said, we'll just go out and try to do the best we can. And it's unfortunate. If we don't win this year, we'll never quit or give up on it. Just unfortunate. You got to run up front to get them points, and I was trying to win, and the 48 had to race. I think that 48 would have won the race. They had a great car, and he did a smart thing by waiting to the last lap. That was something else. Very smart. It takes a lot of patience to do that, and
almost like an Earnhardt move, right?
I was very, very surprised that he was that patient. So I got to give him a heads up to Jimmy for doing that. He had that race won. It's a damn shame for both of us.
That's the thoughts of Dale Earnhardt Jr. He had a great car, came from a lap down, had a tough day, a tough ending.
Go down to Gatorade Victory Lane.
With Brian Vickers for the first time. It took 107 starts, but first of all, we got to start with what happened on the last lap. I know that's not how you wanted to win it, but tell us what happened.
No, I mean, I'm not going to complain about being in Victory Lane, but, that's definitely not how I wanted to win it. I figured there on the last lap, I knew Jimmy was waiting to make his move. Everybody was favoring the high side, and I had a good run. I was pushing Jimmy all the way down the front stretch. He had a run on the junior, and he pulled out the pass, and he made the pass, and then he stopped. And then I was kind of going to try to push him by Junior, because at that point I felt like going into turn 3, us being third, we didn't have a shot to win it. We had a shot to maybe get second and push our team back to Victory Lane. And then when the 8 moved down the track to block Jimmy, when Jimmy swerved to miss him, we just caught him. And it's not how I wanted to win. I want to apologize to Jimmy. It's the last thing I wanted to do, but it was obviously not intentional.
Had you guys talked about, or between your spotters and your spotters talked about you guys going and waiting until the last lap?
No, I think it's understood. Jimmy and I, have always approached the speedway racing pretty similar. I knew what he was doing. He was waiting to the last lap. He was waiting because he knew if he pulled out before then, we were just going to get hung out.
Yes, I see him right now.
Everybody was favoring the high side, running single file. Junior knew what he was doing. He was running the high side. Jimmy had to run the last lap and went for it, and Junior did his job, and he tried to block, and unfortunately I just got into the back of Jimmy, and I apologize.
Now, you said before when it was announced that you were going to go on to another team next year that you desperately wanted to get a win for this 25 team, and it's shown up on the racetrack that you've pushed it hard as you can for the rest of the year. What does this mean to you to give Mr. Hendrick a win?
This means all the world to me. I can't thank Mr. Hendrick enough for everything he's done for me in this organization. It's like family. This win's really for Ricky and everybody on that plane crash. I've been wanting to say that for a long time, and to get this win for him means all the world to me personally. I know it means a lot to Rick, and to see this 25 car, Papa Joe Hendrick and Ricky Hendrick's car in Victory Lane again is pretty special to me personally. I know it's special to all the Hendrick Motorsports, and I just want to say that all these guys in this car, this Speedway car, did an awesome job. This was a fast car all day long in practice. The Speedway department, the engine department all did a fabulous job, and the pit stops, the crew did a great job all day.
Now, it hasn't been that long. It's only been minutes since you've been named the winner. But what does it mean to Brian Vickers to be a Nextel Cup winner? Now we got the big smile.
Yeah, it means a lot. It's I don't no matter what happens when you're sitting in Victory Lane, it's always it always feels pretty good. Especially to finally get that win we've been chasing for so long. But this isn't quite exactly how I pictured it, imagined in my mind or how I wanted to get here. But it is what it is, and it's racing.
Congratulations, enjoy it.
Thanks.
That's Brian Vickers for the first time in his Nextel Cup career. He's in Victory Lane.
And the celebration continues down in Gatorade Victory Lane. Gatorade is the official sports beverage of the Talladega Superspeedway. Let's check in with Danielle Fry.
Well, Jimmy Johnson just went up into the team's transporter. We're going to try and see if he will come back out and speak with us briefly just to give us his thoughts on what happened out there. We were told to check back in about 2 minutes, but I'm not sure we have that much time. He did have to go to the infield care center. He walked back, and we will try and stand by here and see if we can get a word with him. Actually, he's coming out from the team's transporter right now. Jimmy, I just talked to Dale Jr., and he said clearly you had the car to beat today, and that the 25 obviously got into you. He wasn't sure what he was thinking. Obviously no consolation to you at this point, though.
Yeah, just, I feel bad that we weren't able to take advantage of the 31 having some trouble today. I know the 8 was in the same position. I think I was real patient until the white flag lap. I knew I'd have one shot and waited until then because I just wanted to finish top 5 with the 31 having problems. And then and I got a good run inside the 8 and, got a lot of help from behind and too much help and turned me around. So it turned me into the 8, and that was it.
Those are the thoughts of Jimmy Johnson. We appreciate you coming back out here and talking to us. Obviously very dejected and very disappointed.